Hey guys, welcome back to Home Built, and this week I'm going to continue on where I finished off last week, working on the brakes. Alright, those of you might remember last week I finally managed to get the dust covers off the centre caps, so now I need to continue pulling the hub apart so I can get my brake discs off. Okay, the hub's off, the wheel bearing's out, and it's not coming off, so I'll have to go and do some research and find out why it won't come off. What's holding it on? Alright, my research is telling me that it should just come off, so I don't know what's holding it on, so I'm going to go and take the one off the other side off and see if that'll give me some answers. Well, that is now really confusing because that just came straight off. So I don't know, I can't see anything that should be holding it on. So it just might need a little bit of extra persuasion on the other side to get it off. Okay, so that came off, but in the process, it looks like the rear wheel bearing was locked on, and in the process, it's fallen apart. I don't see any nastiness on the spindle or any sort of pitting or anything. It just seemed to be locked on there. But that definitely means I need to replace at least the inner wheel bearings on this one side, which means I may as well replace all the wheel bearings while I'm there. So that will be something I have to order and do another day. So at least for now, we can start tidying up these brake calipers. Okay. I actually bit the bullet and got myself a blasting cabinet, sandblasting cabinet. They were on sale. It was worth going to get because it's going to help me out quite a bit getting these things tidied up. So first of all, now I've got to go through and start cleaning up these brakes. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave all of the pistons and the seals in it because I'm replacing the seals and everything anyway. So to protect the insides, I'm going to keep them in. And I've made up a little block off piece. I've just crimped over a piece of brake tube that I'll screw into these fittings so that it doesn't get gunk on the inside of this, even though it's getting pulled apart anyway. But so I'll just give them a bit of a wash and then a bit of a sandblast, and then they'll be ready to rebuild. I've left these out in the sun to dry for a little bit, so now it's time to chuck them in the sandblasting cabinet and see how this thing works. Alright, first round comparison, and you can see it's looking pretty good, so time to go for number 2. Okay, you may remember a few weeks ago I got under the car and made up these test pieces, which are actually sort of dummies of the hard brake lines that I need. So I'm going to go under the car now, try them out again, make sure they're right, and then I'm going to attempt to try and make them out of my my brake line. Alright, so now I'm back. It's a following morning, and I have my template for my hard oil line that I need to make up to go in the car. I've actually borrowed this weird contraption, which is actually a double flare tool for the brake lines. And this odd little contraption is a brake line bender. So using these bits and pieces, hopefully I can replicate my brake line and get it the way I want it. Okay, now I've got my weird shape together for my brake line. I need to cut it off, and to cut it off, you can't just use a hacksaw or something. You've got to try and get a nice, straight, even cut, and that's where one of these weird contraptions come in. This is actually a pipe cutter, so it's just got a little circular blade in it, and you just tighten it down on the pipe, twist it around, and it it's almost like a razor blade that just keeps running around and around and around until it actually cuts through. So time to cut some pipe. Alright, so here I have my template and here I have my copy. So I haven't put the double flare or the fitting on this end yet because I'm going to trial it first and make sure it all fits and it goes where it wants to go, and then bolt it up and hope it works. Okay, now I've cut this perfectly to length. Everything is the way I want it. Before I go and put the flare on it, I've put my rubber grommet on and put the fitting on and make sure it's the right way around. It's so easy to go through and do a perfect flare and then you go, oh, I forgot the fitting. So fitting on first. Double, triple check the fitting is on. Okay, so this weird looking contraption is the double flare tool. So in this end here, you stick your brake line through and clamp it down. Clamp it down tight with these bolts here. And once you've clamped it down, in the other end, you've got this big threaded hole. First of all, you run this little bit in. What this little piece does is it goes into the end of the tube and it flares it out like that. So that's your single flare, that's your first flare. That's the second part. You put that piece in, takes that flare and kinks the top of it over and gives you your double flare. So now I'm going to use this to put the flare in the end of my brake line. Alright, and there's my double flare. Now it just needs a little bit of tidying up around the edge. So I just quickly go around it with the file to get rid of some of the little excess bits. And we're ready to go. And last thing before I install it in the car is blow it out, because I definitely don't want any junk in my brake lines. Okay, that one's now for the front master cylinder, so let's do it all again. Alright, I think I'm going to have to make this bit of tube again because for some reason I've got one end quite a nice flare, but this end, if we can focus on it, if you can see the tip of that, that's going to leak. And I've done it about 3 times, so it must be this section of tube that's just a bit dodgy. The other end came out quite nice, but this bit is just, that is not going to cut the mustard. So let's try cutting another piece of tube and see if it will work this time. Alright, that's really annoying. I thought I'd had it sorted, but the issue I'm having now is I didn't clamp this tight enough into the double flaring tool and it slid out of the tool, so I've got too small a flare, and now that I've already clamped it once, it won't, it keeps sliding out each time, so that's not going to work. So round 3. Okay, that has been a whole bunch of attempts of keep trying to get it right on the ends, keep doing it, and it keeps stuffing up. It's not good enough, and I'm going to have to come up with another solution, but for now I'm going to leave this and go on and do something else because it's driving me nuts. This will just give you a bit of an idea of how many times I tried to get this, this flare to work. And that's not even all of them, that's just the ones I could find quickly in the area around me on the floor. Moving on. Those brake lines have really annoyed me, so I think it's time for some more therapeutic sandblasting, and I'm going to get in and see if I can give this thermostat a bit of a better cleanup, and that will hopefully not be quite as annoying. Alright, I think it's time for some more therapeutic cleaning. So I've got all these engine tin bits that still need to be cleaned. It's a lot more relaxing than having something that keeps messing up on me. Okay. so a bunch of those engine bits are all nice and cleaned up now, but I've run out of time again, so it must mean it's time for Fun Facts with Mrs. Jeff.
The latest Porsche boxes in Cayman have the number 718, but it's actually paying homage to the earlier Porsche race car 718, which were built between 1957 and 62. The cars are powered by a 1.5 litre flat-4 4-cam engine with 142 horsepower. Although not overly powerful in race car terms, they only weighed a tiny 570 kilos. This will help to take 3 overall victories at Targa Florio, as well as several class wins at the 24 Hours of Le Mans.
Alright guys, another week down. I've got some brake calipers all cleaned up. I was tearing my hair out with those brake lines, and I'll have to play around with that a bit more and work out what I'm going to do there, but I'm getting to the pointy end and I'm running out of easy things to do on the car. It's sort of getting to the stage where there's not a lot of low-hanging fruit left. So anyway, as always, if you want to help out the channel, please go to the link in the description and buy some hoodies or shirts. And as always, if you're liking the videos, please like and subscribe to my channel, Home Built by Jeff, and you can follow me on Facebook and Instagram at the same place. See you guys.
The cars are powered by a 1.5 litre The cars are powered by a 1.5 Lynchen.